Namaste everyone. Today we will have a different type of class. We will have a PPT incorporated inside a video because we are going to see what are all the beauties produced by light in nature. We have all studied about reflection, total internal reflection, refraction and all. Let us see some pictures as well as some animations regarding the different that phenomena showed by the light in the nature. So that is a beautiful thing. Without light, I think this nature would have been very boring. Because of light, this nature is very beautiful and it gives colors to different objects, and it creates the sensation of vision. So we will have some ideas about what are the phenomena shown by the light, what we have come to know what light is doing in the nature. So many of the things are already what you have studied, and one more thing you are going to study, that is scattering of light. So that is at the end we will see that, and you will get few 1 mark or 2 mark questions in that scattering. So we have studied image in a plane mirror. We have seen that we spend a lot, daily we spend a lot of time in front of the mirror, and we see our image. We feel happy about ourselves. So our image is as if we are actually, really. So this image is of the same size, and you can see here, and it is at the same distance from the mirror. Size is also same, and it is erect. And one of the speciality about the image formed in plane mirror is it is laterally reversed. What do you mean by laterally reversed? You see the image of the clock inside. Here it is 3 o'clock. What about the image? Image is 9 o'clock. Laterally reversed. The left side, the right side objects will be seen in the left side in the mirror, and your left hand will be on the right side, and your right hand will be on the left side inside the mirror. So it is laterally reversed. That's a very beauty of the mirror. So it forms the lateral reversed image. That's why we write reversed direction of ambulance in ambulance. You have seen it will be written in the reverse direction, so that when you are driving a vehicle in front of the ambulance, if the ambulance is coming from your rear side, then you will find that when your image is seen in your rear view mirror, it will be correctly seen, because actually it is written in reverse order in the vehicle, but you will see the correct image, so that you will come to know it immediately, and you will leave the path for the ambulance. So it is laterally reversed. Then we can have a puzzle type question for this one. For example, not for theory exam, but still this is needed for our knowledge, not like for exam or getting marks. See, the clock shows 4 hours 20 minutes. When it shows, 25 minutes. When it shows 4 hours 25 minutes, definitely the hours hand will not be at the fourth number. It will be leaving the fourth one, because suppose it was 4 hours 30 minutes. Definitely this hours hand will be standing in between exactly 4 and 5. It doesn't suddenly jump from 4 to 5 when it is 5 o'clock. As the minutes hand moves gradually away from 12 when it shows 4 o'clock, as a minutes hand moves gradually, the hours hand will also move from away from 4. Exactly at 4:30, this will be the center of 4 and 5. So as soon as the time is given, this diagram will not be given in the entrance exam or any of the clerical or any examinations, competitive examination. They will simply mention the time. For example, the time is 4:25. What is the time in the image, plane mirror image? So if it is 4:25, doesn't don't come to the conclusion immediately that the hours hand will be at 4 and in the image it will be at 8. It is not so. It is between 4 and 5. Now the image, in the image it will be between 8 and 7. So it is 7 o'clock, and this minutes hand will come to 7. So it is 35. So if it is 4:25, then it is 7:35. It is not 8:35, because it will be between, hours hand will be between 7 and 8. So 7:35. So you can see the mirror image. So it will be like this. So it is 7:35. Of course, numbers will also be reversed in the mirror image, mirror view. So that is a very beautiful question, and that is a very beautiful to, or very nice to think, and it will make your mind a little bit alert. So every day we watch the mirror, but we will not be able to identify these types of changes. So image in a plane mirror is laterally reversed. And suppose you want to see your full image inside the mirror. If you are standing in front of the mirror, if your mirror is of small size, then you will come to know that only that portion which is exposed to the mirror will be seen inside the mirror. Suppose you want to see your full image, then you need a mirror, plane mirror of at least half of your size. Suppose you are 5 feet in height, then The height of the mirror required to see your full image is 2.5 feet, minimum 2.5 feet. If it is 3 feet, okay, no problem. If it is less than 2.5 feet, you won't see your full image inside the mirror. You will see only a portion of your body inside the mirror. So the full size, if you want to see the full image of your body, if your height is h, then the minimum size of the mirror required is h by 2. Of course, there are so many things involved in this, but this is not in the syllabus, but you must know all these things. So this is a concave mirror actually. You see, how do you come to the conclusion that this is a concave mirror as soon as you see the this picture? Very simple. You get an image inside the mirror. So it is virtual and it is enlarged. It is a larger sized image. Which mirror will form the enlarged type of virtual image inside the mirror? It's only concave when the object is within the focus. A convex mirror forms the virtual image inside the mirror. It is always diminished. For any position of the object in front of the rear view mirror or convex mirror, image is always diminished inside the mirror. And plane mirror forms the same sized image inside the mirror. So if at all a mirror forms a enlarged virtual image inside, then it is only concave mirror. This should be a concave mirror and object should be within the focus now. Otherwise, this can't happen. Okay. So that is why dentists use concave mirror for viewing the teeth, and you can see the enlarged position, enlarged image of the teeth. Of course, this teeth is very beautiful, but if you are having any problem with the teeth, also you can see what are the things going wrong inside your mouth, inside the teeth. So this is the image of the upper teeth now, because mirror will show the upper teeth. So this is a weapon that they use. We feel that this is a weapon used to remove the teeth, but this is just used to see the teeth, view the teeth. Okay, dentists use this one, that for the same reason. Of course, you can use that concave mirror not only for observing the teeth, you can use it as a shaving mirror. Since you use, you get an enlarged image, you can have a beautiful shaving, and you can put the lipstick and at the exact line and exact positions, and so that it will look very beautiful. And you see how the image of a person appears to be very enlarged. Okay. And this is convex mirror, the only mirror which forms the image inside the mirror always, not for some positions only. It forms the image at any positions. And why do we use convex mirror as a rear view mirror? The reason is it is very perfect. Convex mirror forms the image for any position of the object in front of the mirror. Inside the mirror, we get virtual image of the object, and we can see inside the mirror for any position of the object. And its field of view is very large. What do you mean by field of view is very large? You see the way in which it is bulged outside. So it can cover the entire world behind you, right? It can show the image of the objects which are very, very far away from the this mirror. So its field of view, the area that it covers in forming the image is very large. Field of view is very large, and it forms always erect, virtual, and diminished image inside the mirror. So you need not wait that object should come within focus, away from focus, nothing like that. So if for any position it forms, except behind the mirror. You shouldn't keep the object behind the mirror. No image is seen of the objects which are behind. Okay, that is the beauty of convex mirror. So this is the rear view mirror. You see, you can see the image of many number of objects behind the mirror. Okay, its field of view is very large. Now this is another beautiful picture of the convex mirror, which is kept in a shop, and it covers almost all the objects in front of it. You see, it gives the image position or images, virtual images. Okay, then we saw the refraction. Any object kept inside a denser medium appears to be shifted to some other position, shifted up, laterally shifted, and so on. See here, this pencil appears to be broken. Actually, what happens is the rays of light coming from the upper portion should pass through air. Of course, little bit of glass, you can neglect it because thickness of glass is very less here. So the light should come from air, whereas here it should come from water, then to air. So what the type of image these rays of light coming from this portion of the pencil do, the same type of image is not produced by the rays of light coming from this portion of the pencil, because they will have to have an extra activity. That means they have to pass through water and then to air. So they will produce a shifted image, and it appears to be broken. But actually this is because of refraction. This is not reality. Pencil is not broken. This is because of the beauty created by the light. Okay, so this is another picture where your pencil appears to be broken. Okay, and you can see the refraction. You see, this is a beautiful video of the angle of incidence and angle of refraction. You can measure it. You can have a compass or a protractor here, and you can measure the angle of incidence, and the ray of light bends, and this is the angle of refraction. You can change the angle of incidence, you will get different angles of refraction. Of course, this is just a demonstration because this is not a ray of light. This is very thick compared to this line. You can say measuring angle becomes a problem here. Whether you measure the angle from the right side of the beam or left side of the beam, that is a problem. But this is almost a parallel beam, so you can measure it. But still, you can see how the ray of light undergoes refraction very beautifully. As the angle of incidence is changed, the angle of refraction also keeps on changing. So that, you know that sin I by sin r is always a constant. That's what Snell said. So ratio of sine of the angle of incidence to the sine of angle of refraction is always a constant, whatever the angle of incidence you choose, except normal incidence. That you have to remember. Grazing incidence. For such cases, Snell's law is not obeyed. So that is an extreme case. We can leave it. When the ray of light is incident, normally it passes undeviated. So that you can leave it. Okay, that is about refraction here. And because of refraction, things kept in the denser medium doesn't appear to be at the same place. So for a person observing from here, fish won't be appearing at the actual place. So the ray of light doesn't come straight. So if actual fish is here, but the ray of light comes like this. So fish appears to be somewhere here. This is the actual position of the fish. So it appears to be somewhere here. You know what the difficulties these birds will face when they catch the fish. When they are standing in water, so, with their long legs and all. So they will see the fish coming towards them. And actual position of the fish will not be that. But nature has given them a large, long beak, so that even if the position is little changed, they will get the fish most of the times. So fish will not be seen at the actual place as it is. So it will be because the ray of light coming from the fish will move to your eyes and it will bend like this. You feel that the fish is here. Okay. Okay. Actual fish position and in reality and whatever you see are different. Okay. Next, so that is one refraction. So this, you see, there is a normal shift. Of course, in this picture, it is not a normal view. There is a shift found in one position. But here, if you observe the stick from this end, this point of the stick is at a depth and it will be normally shifted. Of course, if you view from this here, there is also a shift. But for measuring normal shift, you should view an object normally. That you should take care of. Okay, so this is a day diagram, that's all. So things kept inside a beaker containing water appear to be shifted upwards, and that is normal shift. So coin kept inside water appears to be shifted up. And if you put your hands inside, you will not find the coin at what the place it is seen. Actually, it is in a different position. You know that it is normal shift. This is another diagram which shows normal shift. Okay. This is acting like a lens now. You see how the arrow mark is before you put the pour water into the glass, and after pouring water, how that arrow mark appears to be. So that is also refraction, because when there is no water, the ray of light from that arrow should enter your eyes only by passing through air. A little bit of glass. Thickness of glass is very less compared to the thickness of air inside. So as soon as you pour water into the glass, the light ray has to pass through water. So it will show different type of image. It appears to be lateral reversed, you see. So these things you are going to study later. So in the next class, we will have refraction at a curved surface. So that we will have in the classroom itself. This is just for because I can't show you all these things effectively in the classroom. Okay, this is another one. You see how does a spherical refracting surface show the image. It's a different type of image. So entirely different. Why this image is like this? We will see that in a spherical curved surface. How does the refraction occur? We have seen in all these types of discussion. You remember we have seen refraction at plane surface, reflection at plane surface. Even the prism is a plane surface, but we have not seen refraction at a curved surface. So you know that that we will see later. See, the beaker containing water may act like a lens, and how the image is formed. Image is entirely different. So these types of GIF animations, you will get it in computers. You can see that. That helps a lot. That will give the real imagination. Otherwise, we will have some different types of imaginations in our brain. So you see the reality. This is the refraction at a glass lab. We have tried to do this. We tried to do this using a laser beam, and we have seen this. It gets in the ray which is traveling like this has been laterally shifted here. There is a shift, but it is traveling in the same direction. No deviation here. Remember, Deviation is 0. Deviation means what? It should not travel in the original direction. It should travel in some other angle. But the angle is not changed finally. The direction, if you continue this, you will find that it is parallel to the original direction. So there is no bending. Finally, outcoming ray has not been bent from the original direction. It has been shifted. Only shift. That is called lateral shift. So that is the beauty here. Here the angle of deviation is 0. Light ray is traveling, suppose it is traveling towards north like this. Now also it is traveling towards north, but in some different position. So there is a lateral shift. And this will happen only when these two sides are parallel. Refracting side should be parallel. Suppose this side is not parallel to this side, then definitely this ray would have moved at a different direction. That acts like a prism then. You will get dispersion and all. Okay. So this is again the same thing. And here you can see the total reflecting prism, you see. A ray of light is incident at some angle. Here you can't get total internal reflection. Why? Ray is moving from rarer to denser medium, not denser to rarer. And moreover, angle of incidence is 0. For this surface, angle of incidence is 0. Angle of refraction is 0. Because if you draw a normal here for this surface, normal and ray are lying in the same direction. The angle of incidence is 0. Refraction is 0. Moreover, ray is traveling from rarer to denser medium, moves undeviated. Here you see, it is moving from denser to rarer medium. This angle here for this surface, if you draw a normal here, angle of incidence will be 45 degrees, which is greater than 42. Usually, this prism material is chosen such that its critical angle is 42 degrees. Any ray of light incident at less than 42 will move out. At 42 will graze. More than 42 will undergo total internal reflection. This is more than 42, 45 degrees. Because you know this is a right angle isosceles prism. So this undergoes total internal reflection here. Again, it is moving from denser to rarer. Here also it was trying to move from denser to rarer, denser to rarer. Here you draw a normal to this surface. For this surface you draw a normal. Then when you draw the normal, this is 45 and it undergoes total internal reflection and comes out. Why should it come here? Oh, no total internal reflection here? Not possible. Why? Because when it is incident like this, moving from denser to rarer, okay, that condition is satisfied. What about the angle of incidence? 0, because for this surface, normal is here. Angle of incidence is 0, less than critical angle, moves out. So this is one total incidence. Here the ray of light is turned by 180 degrees. You can turn the ray of light by 90 degrees also. So such diagrams are available. And this is how you can show the total internal reflection. Suppose this is a beam of laser incident on this glass material or whatever it is. A ray of light, you see, a part of the light gets total internally reflected in the beginning itself. So when I change the angle of incidence, but most of the light undergoes refraction. You see, now it is refraction. As the angle of incidence is increased, at one position you don't see a refraction at all. Complete total internal reflection. Can you see that? Right? When a ray of light is incident at some angle, there is refraction. When the angle of incidence is increased, at one position it is totally reflected, and this angle will be same. So at the critical angle, there is a grazing refraction. Almost you can see that, but there is nothing like correct 90-degree refraction. A small amount of light or we say that light is almost parallel to surface. Once it is greater than critical angle, it reflects back. This is what you call total internal reflection. So if the ray of light is incident at greater than critical angle, it reflects back to the same medium, and it is perfect, you see. When it is more than critical angle, no light is refracting, no light comes out, complete reflection. 99% of the light comes out. So comes back to the same medium. So that is the beauty of total internal reflection. And you know, we use it in optic fiber cables, which contains a higher refractive index core, lower refractive index cladding. When a ray of light is incident into the core at certain particular angle, so there should be a particular angle required. So sometimes if the cable is turned, optic fiber cable is turned too much, what happens is the angle of incidence may not be enough. It may not be greater than critical angle. The ray may refract and it will be lost. Signal will be lost, you know, where optic fiber cables are used. So if a laser beam is incident like this, if the angle is greater than critical angle, it undergoes total internal reflection and comes back. So this angle should be in such a way. That's why when the telecommunication department is putting the cables inside the earth, they don't take too much of curves. The cable should not be bent too much. They will take a larger curve and not a deep curve, and they take it away from one place to another. They don't put it in a deep curve. If it is taken in a deep curve, there is a chance of these cables getting damaged and this rays escaping out of this. So there should be a particular condition obtained. Ray should be moving from denser to rarer, core to cladding. Core is higher refractive index, cladding is lower refractive index, and it should be incident at an angle greater than critical angle. Okay, here you can see how does it undergo total internal reflection, a ray of light incident into the core at critical angle, more than critical angle, undergoes a series of total internal reflections and comes out. Even if you bend the cable to some extent, it comes out, no problem. And it is used in endoscopy. That is the most important application. One is telecommunication. In computers, we use it. Even in computers, this is used. Okay, in medical, in computers, it is used to transmit signals from one place to another. Remember, okay. And in medical, it is used in endoscopy to see the internal organs of the human body. So initially, it is inserted through the mouth into the esophagus, and it enters into the stomach. Now, once it goes inside the stomach, light is sent through it, and all the internal parts of the human body will be studied. Reflected light is made to come out through another cable. So the light falls inside, and you can see what are the problems inside directly, and you need not wait for the test or for some photos or like scanning the scanned photos or something like that. You can directly view what is happening inside, and if there is any tumor, where is it, and what type of tumor, what type of operation has to be done, and all these things can be, that decision can be taken. So endoscopy is a application of optic fiber cable in medical field, and it is used to view the internal organs, especially the stomach. So it is sent inside, and light is sent inside the stomach through one set of cables. Reflected light is made to come out, and that is displayed in some electronic devices. Okay. So remember endoscopy. And this is an experiment which you can do in your house. If you have a laser beam and a bottle. Now you take a bottle with water, make a small hole, fill it completely with water. Now pass a laser beam like this. See, this path of water, it acts like a optic fiber cable. Surrounding air is a rarer medium, and water is a denser medium. Now when you pass light through water like this, as the water oozes out of this hole, small hole, the ray of light tries to come out. Suppose that angle at which it is hitting the parabolic path of the water, if that angle of incidence is greater than critical angle, how come the ray of light move out of this path of the water? It cannot move out. It should undergo total internal reflections like this, and it should go along the path of the water. It's a very beautiful experiment. You can do it in your house. So take a bottle, any bottle, plastic bottle, make a small hole, and pour water into that. Put a laser beam with that certain particular angle. You have to try it a lot. It doesn't appear so easily. You have to try it a lot. Take it into a dark room. Put the light into this hole from the other side. Then you will find the light passes only in the path of the water. That is because light getting into the water, it is coming out into the rarer medium. If that angle of incidence is greater than critical angle, it cannot move out, and it should pass through the path of water. It cannot move out. So at one position you will get it. At some position it escapes. At some one position you can get it. Now the denser medium is water, rarer medium is air, and light is trapped inside the path of water itself. So it's a very beautiful picture of light trapped inside like a optic fiber cable. Okay, this experiment can be done easily. Right, this is a decoration cable, optic fiber cable, which works on the principle of total internal reflection. You know this, that when you have different colored lights here, the cable, the tip of the cable glows with the different colors. This one I have forgotten to explain. One of the beautiful phenomena that we observe in our nature because of total internal reflection is the brilliance of diamond. Diamond glitters very beautifully in a room. If you take the same type of glass cut with the same angle, diamond will be obtained in the same shape also. If you cut a glass piece with the same shape, what happens is diamond is having a more refractive index. You remember the formula n equal to 1 by sin IC? Refractive index of a medium and critical angle needed for total internal reflection are internally related. Refractive index of a medium is on the numerator, and of course, in the left hand side, it is in the numerator. Critical angle sin IC, in terms of sin IC, it is in the denominator on the right hand side. N equal to 1 by sin IC. That means, what is the meaning of this? More the refractive index of the medium, lesser is the critical angle needed for refraction. Total internal reflection. That means for diamond, refractive index is more. What do you mean by that? It needs less critical angle. Say, I take an example like 30 degrees, say. For 30 degree itself, the total internal reflection starts. What about 31, 32, 33, 34? That is total internal reflection. If a ray of light is incident inside the diamond, for lesser angles also, total internal reflection is possible. Take glass. Refractive index of glass is lesser than diamond. What about the critical angle needed? More, say 40, 42 degrees. Then a ray of light incident at 30 degree cannot undergo total internal reflection, whereas it can undergo total internal reflection in diamond. And a ray of light incident at 35 degree cannot undergo total internal reflection in glass. Glass needs at least 42 degrees. So many rays of light cannot undergo total internal reflection in glass. Only certain rays of light more than incident at an angle more than 42 degrees, they can undergo total internal reflection. Whereas in diamond, many rays can undergo total internal reflection since its refractive index is more and critical angle is very less. So compared to glass, in diamond, more number of rays undergo total internal reflection. So more light is trapped inside a diamond than in glass. So in a room, if you keep diamond and glass side by side, there are more rays of light undergoing total internal reflection in diamond than glass. That's wherever they undergo total internal reflection, they produce a glittering type of shining points. That's why diamond glitters more than glass. So if you get a question, why does diamond glitters more than glass? The simple answer is diamond is cut in such a way and refractive index of diamond is much more. So it needs a very less critical angle. So many rays of light entering the diamond will get a chance of undergoing total internal reflection. That's why diamond glitters more. And a glass of same shape requires more critical angle. Only those rays of light incident at larger angle only will undergo total internal reflection. And that's why less light is trapped inside glass. So it doesn't glitter as much as diamond. So that is the reason. Okay. What is the reason behind the advanced sunrise and the delayed sunset? You know that even before sunrise, you will get light in the early morning. Even after sunset, you get light for a little time. Why it is possible? That is because of atmospheric refraction. See, the layers of air around the earth, they are not having the same refractive index. Air, which is very close to our body, it is having almost same refractive index. But as you go above and above, you get rarer and rarer air. Air is not having so much of high refractive index. So its refractive index goes on changing. The density of air goes on changing as you move above the earth. So light ray coming from the sun, suppose you are observing the sun in the horizon like this. Light ray coming from the sun will undergo refraction through, bending through the different layers of the atmosphere. Suppose the layers of atmosphere were having the same amount of thickness, density everywhere, optical density everywhere, same amount of refractive index everywhere, then the ray would have moved straight and you would have seen the sun at the actual position what he is. But now what happens is, as the light passes through different layers of the atmosphere, because of the difference in the density, optical density, the ray keeps on bending and bending and bending. By the time it reaches your eyes, it will not be in the same direction. That ray of light will not be in the same direction as it was coming from the sun. Of course, here there is no refraction. Remember, ray travels straight because this is vacuum. As soon as light enters the atmosphere, there is a bending. And you feel that the last ray, it is after bending, it is coming like this. It has come from some position here. So you see the position of the sun here. Actually, sunrise has not happened. So it is the position here, you see, but actual sun is here. The rays of light are coming like this. So that is why even before sunrise and even after sunset, you see the light in the atmosphere. That is because of the refraction occurring in the atmospheric layers because of their difference in the optical density. Okay, so that is one reason. So here also you can see that here it is most effectively shown, but it won't be so much. So as the sun rays enter from the sun and enter into the atmosphere, different layers of the atmosphere will have different optical density. So the rays of light bend and will be received. And a person observing from here, he feels that the sun is here. Actually, sunrise has not happened. And the sunrise, it takes still some more time for sunrise. You feel that the light is here, but you receive light. Sun is actually not seen at all. This is horizon. If you see like this, there is no sun actually. but you can see the sun here. Actual sun is here. Okay. And another consequence of atmospheric refraction is the twinkling of stars. What do you mean by twinkling of stars? You see that stars glitter, they twinkle at night, but not like planets. Planets don't twinkle. Stars twinkle. The reason is again atmospheric refraction. Reason is atmospheric refraction. Planets and satellites, they don't twinkle, and whereas stars twinkle. Because actually what is happening here is stars twinkle, it appears to be twinkling. The position of the star changes, and you don't receive light from the star once. It is like switching on and switching off. At some positions you receive, at some positions you don't receive. That's why it appears to be twinkling. Why it is so? You see, again, it is because of the refraction from the different layers of the Earth's atmosphere, that is air. The density of air is not the same as you move above. I'm talking about optical density. As you move above the Earth, the optical density will be lesser and lesser. So a ray of light coming from a star, star is at actually a very distant place, but ray of light undergoes refraction only as soon as it enters the Earth's atmosphere. Before that, it doesn't undergo refraction. It will move straight. As soon as it enters the Earth's atmosphere, there will be a bending, and the ray will be received by you like this. But you feel that these rays are coming like this. So this is the apparent position of the star. You feel that the star is here, and actual star is here. But you see this star. Okay, sir, I can see this star. Then why does it twinkle? Sometimes why do we miss the image of the star? Very simple. The atmospheric layers, they keep on changing their positions. There is a movement and there is a change in the density. What the density you get in the beginning, and after certain time the density will be changed. So there is a variation of density every time, and that density makes the light to undergo refraction in different ways in different instants. Now at this instant the ray of light is undergoing refraction like this. At the very next moment the refraction will be in a different way, because air layer will change its characteristic every moment. So what happens? This star, the light coming from this star appears to be now like this. After a little bit of time, the star's position will be changed somewhere else, because this ray of light will undergo refraction and will go somewhere else. So when it goes somewhere else, what happens? You miss the image of the star. When you miss the image of the star, what happens? You don't see the star. You feel that it is twinkling. After some time, the air layers will change their positions, and it will be as usual then. Again, you get the ray of this ray of light, receive this ray of light. Again, you can see the image of the star here. So it keeps on changing this idea. That means once the layers will move and they will keep the position of the star somewhere else which you can't see. Again, they will come back to the original position, and you can see the image here, and you can see the star again. So this keeps on changing, and you see the star once, you miss the star once. So this finally leads to the twinkling of the star. So main reason is atmospheric refraction. Okay, so this is because of the different layers like this. Okay, now during sunrise and sunset, you don't see the exact spherical sun, and the sun is having more diametrical size here, but not vertical size. Vertical size will be little bit reduced, and horizontal size will be increased. It will be like somewhat oval shape. Why it is so? Actually, sun is a sphere. In the other times, if you observe, sun is spherical in nature, but now it appears to be flattened, with vertical size decreased, horizontal size is increased. Again, this is because of atmospheric refraction, because as the light coming from the sun enters the atmosphere, the light coming from the upper and the lower side of the sun, they have to pass through different layers of the atmosphere, because this light has to pass through the different layers and it should be reached. Whereas these two light coming from the these horizontal positions have to pass through the same layers. So they don't undergo refraction as if the rays undergo refraction coming from the top and the bottom. Hope you have followed. The rays coming from the top and bottom of the sun will have to pass through different layers of the atmosphere compared to the rays coming from the horizontal positions, edges of the sun. So they will undergo different type of refraction. So the image formed by the rays coming from these two edges and these two edges will not be the same type. So that's why the image will be little bit compressed here and elongated here, because these layers have to, light from these two ends have to pass through the same layers of the atmosphere, whereas these two lights have to pass through different layers. Okay. So reason is atmospheric refraction. This is called mirage. Can you see some water-like arrangement here? This is also because of refraction. So here we feel that there is water, but actually there is no water here. Why it happens so? When during summer days, this tarred road will be heated much more than the sand. Sand or land. The soil doesn't get heated as much as this tarred road. When the tarred road gets heated too much, the air layers very close to the tarred road, they get heated to a very large extent, whereas the air layers above, much above the tarred road, they don't get heated to a larger extent. So within certain height, say some 5 meter or 6 meter, the density of air keeps on changing. It will not be same everywhere. The air layer which is in contact with the tarred road will be heated very much, and its density will be, optical density will be very less. And the air layer which is above and above will not be heated as much as the layer which is in contact. So their density will be more and more. So the this ray of light has to pass through different layers of the atmosphere within the earth itself, within a certain height itself, and those different layers will have different density, optical density. So the bending occurs, and you see the reflection of the sky on the earth. You feel that there is water when you see the reflection. I can see the same thing happens in the desert also, because in desert the land will be covered with the sand, and sand gets heated too much, and it heats the different layers of the atmosphere within a certain height. It is not to a larger height, within a certain height, and that makes the light to bend into different angles. So you feel this to be with a little bit of water. You should feel that it is within water. Okay. So I can explain it like this. When a ray of light comes from a particular object, you feel that, it passes through different layers of the atmosphere, not the complete layers, the heated layers. The layer which is very close to the earth will be heated too much, next layers will not be heated too much. So as it passes through different layers, the ray undergoes bending and bending, because you know that this is the most rarer medium, which is very close to the earth. This is less rarer. So ray is traveling from rarer to denser medium. It bends away and away from the normal. At one position, it undergoes total internal reflection and reflects back. So a person observing from here, he receives light like this. Actually, this light is coming from here. So he feels that this ray is coming from somewhere here below, and he feels that this image of this object is seen inside the earth. So if the image of the object is seen inside the earth, we feel that there is water. Okay, the same thing is explained here. A light ray coming from here undergoes bending through different layers. This is not in a greater height, like atmospheric refraction, like twinkling of stars. Twinkling of stars occurs because of the change in the density within a large height of the atmosphere. This is within a small height. This cannot be seen in all ordinary places. Only at places where earth gets heated too much, you can see that. So ray undergoes bending away and away and away from the normal. It undergoes total internal reflection. Finally, it will be reached here. So this camel feels that the ray is coming from somewhere here. It can see the image of this here. It feels that there is water. So here you can see the correct image. This position of the object emits light, and this light will be bending away and finally reaching here. And you feel that this light is here, and you see the image, you feel that there is water here. So this is because of the heating of the different layers of the atmosphere. See, we feel that there is water. Actually, there is no water, because this ray of light coming from this object, when it falls like this, it undergoes total internal reflection and received by your eyes. So we feel that this image is somewhere here. Actually, there is no image here. There is no water. It appears to be like water. So that is called mirage. And you see, we feel that there is water here, but there is no water. You can see the person's image inside. Okay. So again, this portion is not included in your syllabus. That is the formation of rainbow. It's a beautiful natural phenomena. Raindrops act like prisms. They need not be in the shape of prism. You should have two curved surfaces. That's all. Two surfaces which are not parallel to each other. So that is satisfied in a raindrop. So you should be standing somewhere here. Behind you, there should be sun. And in front of you, there should be raining. The place should be raining here. When it is raining in front of you, when the sun is from backside, the light from the sun enters into all these raindrops, and they undergo dispersion and also the total internal reflection. Because if the dispersion occurs and what do you call dispersed light is formed here, if there is a colorful light formed here, you can't see that here, right? The spectrum formed here can't be seen. So there should be total internal reflection also. So you can see the total internal reflection here. And so each raindrop will do this. And finally, you can see the rainbow. So the necessary thing for the rainbow is rain drops. It should be raining in front of you. Sun should be from your backside. Light coming from the sun should fall on the raindrops, and they get dispersed as well as totally internally reflected. And you can see the spectrum. Of course, I have to place the eye here. That will be seen here. That spectrum will be seen here. I have to change the position of the eye to this position. Here you will see the rainbow. So you can see the rainbow like this. You can see it like this. So bending is less for red and more for violet and blue. And this is secondary rainbow also you can see. And there are so many things to be told in a rainbow, but it's not in the syllabus. I don't touch too much in that. So you can see that light from the sun coming to the raindrops, they form total internal reflection, and that will be seen from a person. And there should be a condition for observing. Suppose you call your friend in somewhere other place, he won't be able to see this rainbow, because he will be observing some other rainbow. All the drops of the liquid will be forming the rainbow, but you see only this at a particular angle. Okay, this is dispersion. You have seen this. That red color bends least and violet color bends most. The velocity for violet color is very less. That's why it bends most, and all those things. Okay, this is what Newton showed, that light contains white color, and it is a combination of all the colors. And as it passes through the prism, it gets bent into different angle. You can recombine it and produce white light. And this is what I want to say: scattering. What do you mean by scattering? Atmospheric molecules can also spread the light in different directions. You see, in a room, you can see light in all the places. That is because of scattering. Spreading of light by the small molecules like air molecules, dust particles in air, or smoke, fog, even mist and fog can spread the light. That spreading is called scattering. Now, even our scientist C.V. Raman worked under scattering, and there are so many consequences that we observe because of scattering in nature. One is during sunrise and sunset, the sky appears to be very reddish orange, and in the natural sky appears bluish in color. Ocean appears blue in color. And Rayleigh, one of the scientists, he studied this, how the light undergoes scattering, as if it is dispersion. You know that in a dispersion is different, scattering is different. In a dispersion, when the white light enters from air to a glass, since these two surfaces are not parallel, if they were parallel, they would have moved again in the same direction. Now, different colors of light will travel with different speed inside the prism. So when they come out, they are at different positions. One which travels with the highest speed compared to the other colors will bend less, the red one. The violet one, which travels with least speed, will be bent too much. In the same way, scattering occurs, but it is not the exact phenomena. Scattering is different, dispersion is different. When scattering is observed in nature, Rayleigh said that intensity of the scattered light, suppose you pass a white light through fog or mist, what happens? Light gets scattered. Rayleigh observed that all the colors of light are scattered not equally. He found that some of the colors are scattered more, some of the colors are scattered very, very less. How? He says, intensity of the scattered light. You observe the scattered light. Which color is scattered more? Which intensity is more? Intensity of the scattered light is inversely proportional to the fourth power of the wavelength. This is Rayleigh's law. This is what he has given. Intensity of the scattered light is inversely proportional to fourth power of the wavelength. This is in the syllabus, so better you observe this one. What do you mean by this, sir? Wavelength, least for violet, blue. Violet and blue have least. Violet has the least wavelength, blue has a less wavelength. You put the least wavelength here. Intensity should be more. That means scattering is more and more for blue and violet. Of course, blue is a very eye-catching color. If you ask your friend to show a blue paper and a violet paper from a distance, your eye will catch blue color first, because it's a very eye-catching color. So that's why I say blue, blue, blue always, not violet. So intensity of the scattered light, intensity of the scattered light is more for blue, because wavelength of light is wavelength of blue light is less. When the denominator is less, numerator should be more. What about red? Red is least scattered. It doesn't get scattered. It passes through fog, mist, dust. It doesn't get scattered, spread in because of smoke or etc. So intensity of the scattered light for red is less. That doesn't mean that red is not seen. Red will be passing through the dust particles, whereas blue and violet cannot pass through the dust particles or air molecules. They get scattered more. So least wavelength is scattered more, intensity is more, and most wavelengths like red and orange will be scattered less. This is the beauty of the nature. It scatters less wavelength more. Intensity of the scattered light is more for least wavelength. Intensity of the scattered light is less for more wavelength, like red. So how do we apply this? See, during sunset, sun appears reddish in color. Why so? Because sun is at a very large distance. And when you observe the sun during the horizon, during sunset, the rays of light have to pass through the atmosphere. They have to pass through the larger distance through the atmosphere. What happens now is, when they pass through the atmosphere, other colors like blue, green, everything will be scattered in the atmosphere. They don't reach your eyes. Only red will be scattered less, so it will be reaching your eyes. So red will reach your eyes without scattering much. Actually, sun is emitting all the colors of light, not even red, not even blue, not even violet, everything. But when it reaches your eyes, only red will be successful in reaching your eyes, whereas blue and other colors are scattered. Sir, where are these blue and other colors? If you look into the sky, you can find that sky is blue in color, right? So red color of sun during sunrise and sunset is because of Rayleigh scattering of light. According to Rayleigh's law, intensity of the scattered light is inversely proportional to the fourth power of wavelength. So if you observe the sky appears bluish in color, because blue is scattered more in sky. That is what is seen, whereas red is not trapped by the air molecules, so it will fly up. Now suppose you look into the sky from the moon. There is no atmosphere at all in the moon. Sky appears black. Why, sir? There is nothing to scatter light. Light simply passes away. There are nobody to catch the light and show it to you in the sky of the moon. The moon's sky doesn't contain any air molecules, no particles to scatter light in the moon. So sky appears black in color in the moon, whereas blue is in earth, since blue is scattered more. Now again, we have some reasons for why clouds appear white. So even the ocean appears blue. Why the ocean appears blue? When the light enters the ocean, the water molecules spread the light. Among them, which is scattered more? Again, the blue and the violet, but blue is more eye-catching color. So ocean appears bluish in color. So this you see, all the water in the ocean appears to be bluish in color. That is because of another reason for this one is the reflection of the sky. And the most important reason is the scattering of the blue color more in less wavelength. The blue colors get scattered more. Its intensity is more, so it appears to be bluish in color. Okay, sir, why should sun appear reddish only during sunset or sunrise? Why not in the mid-noon? What is the reason? That is another important phenomena. During sunset or sunrise, what happens is sun ray has to pass through the more width of the atmosphere, you see. When the sun is in the mid-noon, the light has to pass through less length of the atmosphere. Here you see, the distance through which the sun, this is the atmosphere. This is outside vacuum. Only this much thickness of the atmosphere is the thickness where light has to travel in the mid-noon, when the sun is overhead. But when it is sun rising, this thickness of light has to pass through this much thickness of the atmosphere. So scattering possibility is more here. That's why this bluish color of the atmosphere appears here, but you receive only red color of the sun, and sun appears red, but atmosphere appears blue. So here scattering is very less, and moreover, this is normal incidence, so scattering is very less. So we will have a little bit of things in scattering, and we will finish it. Now, this you have that traffic light. The stop signal is always red in color. All the lights that are in towers in the night time, that mobile towers will be given reddish color light, because red color can travel for a longer distance without scattering. Suppose there is mist or fog in the atmosphere. What happens is, suppose you have chosen green light as a danger signal color light. Green will scatter more, and these birds and other objects, aeroplanes, may not be able to identify the this green color from a distance. So what happens is, you may not be able to see that the green color is on. So danger signals are always reddish in color. In a traffic signal, stop signal is very important. If you don't stop when there is a stop signal on, then accident may occur. Suppose you get ready color is yellow color. Even if you don't notice it, green color, go color. And if you don't move when the green color is on, nothing will happen. But if you don't stop when the red color is on, it's a problem. So danger signals, important signals, are always reddish in color, because it can be identified from a larger distance itself. So you will get enough time and enough distance to stop the vehicle, because red color is least scattered in dust and fog and mist. It can travel without scattering, so you can identify it from a larger distance. Suppose we had used green color as the stop signal, we were not able to identify it from a longer distance, because it gets scattered. It just scatters in the atmosphere. So you will notice that green color is on only when you approach it. Then you won't have enough time to stop the vehicle or do something. So that's why green color is only to start, not for stop color. So it may be asked to write, why danger signals are red in color? Because red scatters least, and it can be identified from a longer distance. And what is Tyndall effect? This is another effect. Of course, you see, scattering, even in scattering, there are different types. The phenomenon of scattering of light by the colloidal particles, if it is scattered by the colloidal particles, then it is called Tyndall effect. The best example is, if in your house, suppose there is some smoke, and if you open small window or door, the light coming from outside through the smoke can be clearly seen. Why it is so? Because in the path of the light, if there are smoke particles, they scatter the light in different directions, and that can be seen. So this path of light seen by the colloidal particles, the particles which are suspended in air, that is called Tyndall effect. And even a cigarette kept in the ashtray will emit light smoke, which is bluish in color. That is also Tyndall effect. Okay, so we will move on. See, this is a beautiful Tyndall effect. You can see here, this is a photograph taken inside the well, and this is open part of the well outside. You can see some trees and something outside, light coming from the sun entering the well, and you can see the path, the smoke or the fog or the mist. I think this may be mist which is scattering the light. Okay, yeah, how is the color of light and the scattering particle size related? Very fine particles scatter mainly blue light. Blue light is scattered more by the fine particles. If the particle size is larger, they scatter more wavelength. And another thing is, if the scattering size is very large, particle which is scattering the light is very large, it scatters all the colors equally. That is why which color is okay? We will go to this. Cloud is white in color. Why cloud is white in color? Reason is, the size of the water molecules in the cloud is so large that it scatters blue color, red color, orange, everything equally. If all the colors are scattered equally, what is the result? It appears white. And remember, some of the clouds in the rainy season, they are very grayish and blackish in color. That is because the water molecules are so dense inside during rainy season that they don't allow the light to pass through at all. So that is the reason they appear black if they don't allow the light pass through and come out. And if it doesn't emit any light, then it appears black. So if it is dense watered cloud, it appears blackish or grayish. If it is a natural cloud in the other times other than rainy season, it scatters, the water molecules scatter all the colors equally, so it appears whitish. In other times, you see, it is whitish, and whereas sky is blue because our air molecules scatter blue more, and you can see the beautiful nature. Okay, these may be the questions: why suns during danger signals are red in color, and why that sea is bluish in color, ocean is bluish in color. And you can do this experiment in your house. A very simple experiment. Take a ray of light, pass it through this lens, and make it to pass through a beaker containing water. So you mix a little bit of this detergent powder or soap solution, very little amount of soap solution to this water. Now this detergent powder mixed in water will start spreading the this light, white light. Blue color is more spread. So if you observe the beaker from one side, the beaker appears to be bluish. Why? Blue is scattered more. Now directly in front of this light, you observe it from here. How does this source of light, say a bulb, appears to be? The light coming from the bulb after passing through the water which is mixed with the detergent powder, which contains that powder particles inside, that appears to be bluish when observed from this side, perpendicular to the light. Light is moving like this. You are observing from here. It appears to be bluish. But if you directly come opposite to the light and observe the light, it appears reddish. The reason is light passing, by the time white light passes through this colloidal solution, only red will be able to come out. It scatters least. Other colors are scattered, and the scattered colors are seen here. So that is the thing in scattering. And scattering is involved. Little bit of refraction is involved in your syllabus. So just read it. I will send you the notes. But you just understand all these phenomena. These are all the natural and common knowledge, that is general knowledge, that you should know. It's most exciting, and you can read it anywhere in any book. You will get the idea, and that is very interesting to see all those things also. So try to have these ideas, and what are all the things needed for the examination. You can have the notes and you can refer the textbook. And with this, I will end up today's class. Tomorrow onwards, we will see the refraction at curved surfaces. That's most important one. So I must be ready with the pen and paper from tomorrow onwards. You have to draw it as I do that. Hope you will follow this. So have a nice day. Thank you. Thank you.